Welcome back to Star Wars Escape Pod and another episode of Lightspeed, bringing you Star Wars news and headlines in under 15 minutes. Whether you're taking your walk for a dog or in a short car ride to work, off to get your groceries, you can catch your Star Wars news and headlines right here on Star Wars Escape Pod. And first on our list is a quick video called A Series of Firsts, Obi Wan Kenobi on Disney+. Let's take a listen.
The first time I got to watch Star Wars, I was pretty blown away. Alec Guinness, as Obi Wan Kenobi, did some of the most amazing work. To play him as a younger man, I was really excited about it. The first big experience for me was going to the studio where we shot episode 1. The props master brought up a big chest, and he looked me in the eye and he opened it up. And I got to choose Obi Wan Kenobi's lightsaber.
This is my favorite one.
That's the one.
Yeah.
So that was a moment I'll never forget. The first lightsaber work we did was when we fight Darth Maul. That was an amazing thing to be part of. It was incredibly intricate. We were just going so fast. Action! It's quite unlike any other filmmaking I've done. The first time I got dressed up as Obi-Wan again, it was a special moment. The wonder of Star Wars and the excitement of playing Obi-Wan Kenobi, it's really quite something.
All right, we are all so excited to see the Obi Wan Kenobi show up on Disney Plus, of course, in the coming week, right around the corner. Man, there's so much to get into here. The Vanity Fair article is fascinating. They just revealed so much information about Lucasfilm's slate, and I know we got Star Wars Celebration right around the corner. So, definitely stay tuned for next week, going on from Thursday until Sunday. And the online buzz about Star Wars is going to be, at peak during those few days, because we're going to be getting a lot of information about the existing upcoming stuff from Lucasfilm, as well as a new animated series and a new live action series. So, yeah, that's right. So a lot of new stuff. And, let's kind of run through the list as to how you can prepare for that. So we just released a podcast episode called Star Wars Celebration Know Before You Go. It's designed for people who want to enjoy Celebration at home, or for those people who are actually going in person. And we got a lot of tips. We've been to Star Wars Celebration 2017 ourselves, and it was pretty fantastic. We definitely recommend going if you are in the area. You can get tickets officially resold through Light if you're aiming for a ticket that's sold out, which I believe most of them are at this point, aside from the Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. And if you are looking for a ticket, which you don't need to get a scalper anymore, you don't need to buy off a scalper, you can go to Star Wars Celebration website. There's a link there which goes to a website in partnership with a company called Light, and they officially resell tickets from people who can no longer make the trip. So definitely put your name on the wait list if you are in the area and don't mind having the backup plan of hitting Star Wars Celebration for a day while you're in town. So that is definitely worth checking out, as well as our podcast episode that I just mentioned. All right, so speaking of episodes that we just released, you might be interested in the Obi Wan Kenobi What Happened, which summarizes and recaps all of Obi-Wan's main story arc, going from prior to The Phantom Menace all the way up through Star Wars The Clone Wars, the prequels, right into the Obi Wan Kenobi show and beyond. And we don't really leave anything out. We hit all the comic series, all the novels that he's been in, and we try and get the big picture of what this character is going through. So if you want to catch up on Obi Wan Kenobi and figure out what happened with that character, stay tuned to Star Wars Escape Pod. We did another one recently as well called What Happened, the Inquisitorius. Now, the Inquisitors are these villains that are going to be showing up hunting Jedi in the Obi Wan Kenobi show. Anyone who's played Jedi Fallen Order will be very familiar with these characters. They've also been prominent in some of the Darth Vader, Dark Lord of the Sith comic books, as well as Star Wars Rebels, the animated series. But if you haven't seen or consumed any of that content, you don't want to be spoiled, but you just kind of want to figure out who they are, maybe just save it for Obi Wan Kenobi. But if you do want to get to the root as to what those villains are and what happens to a lot of them before and after the show, check out our What Happened, the Inquisitorius, which just launched on Star Wars Escape Pod. Now, I think I mentioned the Vanity Fair article just not that long ago, and let's take a quick listen at the video that they released online with the article. Let's take a listen.
A part of Star Wars.
We're here shooting for the new Vanity Fair shot by Annie Leibovitz.
It's an incredible honor. Annie has been a part of Star Wars for 40 years.
I've always had a real fondness for the Vanity Fair Star Wars issues, so working with Annie again was really special for me.
Here we go. I've worked with Annie all through my career, really. She's a legend, for a good reason. Her photographs are extraordinary.
Annie Leibovitz, Vanity Fair. What comes to mind is iconic.
One of the things that was really fun was that all the shows were coming together.
Really nice. We've got Andor, we've got Obi Wan, we've got Mandalorian, we've got Ahsoka.
Just standing up there with the smoke and the wind and the cape.
To be part of this moment, it's just mind-blowing.
This new era with Star Wars and streaming, now we have time to tell these much more ongoing, elaborate stories that interconnect.
It's a moment where the Star Wars universe can take risks and reinvent and surprise fans.
I can only say I cannot believe my life.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, so look for the Vanity Fair Star Wars The Rebellion will be televised on newsstands and various other places on wherever you can get your newspapers. You can find the article from Vanity Fair on the Star Wars stuff through the website, and there is some really awesome photos that they've taken of this event, of the photo shoot, and all of these characters in costume. It's fantastic. They got photos of Hayden Christensen training with the lightsaber. They've got photos of him in the Darth Vader suit. They've got photos of Ewan McGregor as Obi Wan Kenobi, of Reva the Inquisitor. They've got photos of Ahsoka, of Andor, Mandalorian, and Mon Mothma, and all the actors that play those respective roles. And this article is really dedicated to all the live-action shows coming between this year and the next, including Andor, Ahsoka, Mandalorian, Obi Wan Kenobi, and teasing even a little bit more as far as future stuff goes. So definitely give it a read. There's some information on the events of The Acolyte as well, which is, as we know, a show that will be premiering at some point in the next 2 years and will take place 100 years before The Phantom Menace in a new age that Lucasfilm has been developing in the form of comics and novels. It is called The High Republic. So it's cool to get solid confirmation that that's going to happen 100 years before the films take place, because before we didn't really know when it would take place. It's nice that we do now. Something else about the article was very interesting. They teased the idea that we will be getting a new series on the horizon. Now I'm going to read a little segment of this article here. So, Headland describes The Acolyte as a mysterious thriller set in the prosperous, seemingly peaceful era when the galaxy is still sleek and glistening. We actually use the term Renaissance or Age of Enlightenment, she says. Jedis were not always as monk-like figures, living selflessly and bravely. The Jedi uniforms are gold and white, and it's almost like they would never get dirty. They would never be out and about, Headland says. The idea that they could have had these uniforms because that's how they're getting into skirmishes. Another new series on the horizon doesn't even have a title, just a code name, Grammar Rodeo, a reference to an episode of The Simpsons in which Bart and his schoolmates steal a car and run away for a week, using a phony educational event such as an alibi. The show takes place during the post-Return of the Jedi reconstruction that follows the fall of the Empire, the same as The Mandalorian, but the plot remains a secret. It's created and executive produced by director John Watts and writer Chris Ford, who made Spider-Man Homecoming for Marvel as well as the more recent Spider-Man films. A casting notice has called for 4 children around the ages of 11 to 12 years old inside Lucasfilm. The show is being described as a galactic version of classic Amblin coming-of-age adventure films of the 80s. We're talking movies like E.T., The Goonies, stuff like that. So this is a really kind of interesting category to target, because in all the recent Star Wars movies I guess the rating system used to be different, but ever since the PG-13 label got slapped into the hierarchy of how to age-appropriate rate a film, all of the live-action Star Wars films are PG-13, and the animated shows are the only things that have really been targeted at a slightly younger audience. Star Wars Rebels mostly, and Star Wars Resistance being, I think, the youngest of the lot. But this is going to be a live-action Star Wars show in its first that really targets that coming-of-age group of kids. So anyone between the ages of 11 to 14 are going to thoroughly enjoy this show. And even for us adults, who love Star Wars, I mean, this is going to be really cool to see what exactly goes on with the events post Return of the Jedi. I know we've gotten a lot of story now at this point with Book of Boba and Mandalorian and Ahsoka as well. But this adds to a lot of what might end up being the continuation of the Luke Skywalker arc that was kicked off in the Book of Boba Fett. Maybe we're going to see him further develop his Jedi Academy, and maybe we'll meet the first couple students that he takes on in that order. It's possible we could even maybe see a slightly older Luke Skywalker, not quite as young as we did in Book of Boba, but still post Return of the Jedi, maybe slightly older, and we might even see a young Ben Solo being trained as a Jedi. That would be very interesting. So, I'm definitely looking forward to that. Quite a sad ending to all the kids that end up at Luke's Academy, but again, we don't really know what this is all about, so maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's not about Jedi at all, but who knows? They've got a roadmap. Kathleen Kennedy says they've got a roadmap, and there's obviously a lot going on. So what else is going on? We know that Patty Jenkins's Rogue Squadron movie is a bit further off, and Kevin Feige's Star Wars produced film is not about anything specifically. At least they haven't revealed any details, but it's even further off, I think. And the trilogy from Rian Johnson that was announced 5 years ago is currently on the back burner still. Rian has been unbelievably busy with the Knives Out series and the deal that he made with Netflix for multiple films. But he will be back, and I'm sure they will resume the production or the deal that they had with Rian later when they get the chance. Let's not forget that Taika Waititi is also going to arrive on the big screen with a Star Wars movie of his own. And that's going to be exciting to look forward to as well. It might be a little more kooky, but, who knows? Maybe it'll work. So that's all the headlines for today. Make sure you catch all the episodes that we've got releasing in the coming weeks on Star Wars Escape Pod in regards to Obi Wan Kenobi and Star Wars Celebration. Make sure you check out all the latest books on the shelf, including Mike Shan's new Brotherhood novel about Obi-Wan and Anakin. Shadows of the Sith right around the corner, with Rey's parents' names revealed as Dathan and Miramir. And the new Padawan novel arriving in July, as well as the Dark Horse comic series returning to the Star Wars label. And that being said, may the Force be with you guys, and we'll see you in the next one.